You're listening to the Guitar Heroes podcast.
Are we on? On two.
Can you hear me, Mother?
I like it already.
Coming in loud and fuzzy.
I guess as we're musicians, we should. Oh.
Chris, put your trousers back on.
Oh, what a start! What a start! We should really start by going 1 2 check check 1 2
1 2
Isn't that
check.
what musicians
1
do?
2 check.
Check 2.
Oh, wait a minute. Can I be the arsehole in the corner? 3 4.
Hey, it feels like a real gig now.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome, episode 1.
This is the Guitar Heroes podcast number 1.
Correct.
Woo woo.
We're finding our feet here, folks. So bear with us. This is a new venture for us and something we hope to take forward. So, yeah, bear with us while we learn the ropes.
Yeah, 'cause none of us are actually used to talking
No,
much.
no.
That's why we've decided to do this. We usually talk so much, don't we, about
We do.
guitars and
We do.
things and stuff. So we thought, well, let's record it, and hopefully people will find this interesting.
Absolutely. So I guess that's a good place to start. Really, we should introduce ourselves and introduce the where we're coming from and the idea behind this podcast, and give people some context.
Mm-hmm.
So, who wants to go first?
Phil, you
Go on, I'll go first.
There's 3 of us in the room, by the way.
There's
You've
three-
got to
no,
remember
wait,
that people can't see
Lee
us.
and the dog.
there's 4 of us in the room.
Oh,
Come on,
course.
Cookie's a big personality of the show.
He is, and he may contribute to the podcast a little bit later if he's feeling up to it. At the minute, he's just looking at the rich teas that are on the table.
By the smell of it, I think he's already contributed to the podcast.
No, that's me. Sorry about that, Chris. Put your trousers on.
Okay.
So let's start this. My name's Phil Walker. I am the creator of the story of Guitar Heroes, which is kind of what this podcast is about.
Well, I
guess.
think the story of Guitar Heroes is a good place to start, because the story of Guitar Heroes is essentially what brings us 3 together, other than the fact that we live 10 minutes from each other and we all play guitar.
Yeah.
The story of Guitar Heroes is our job, and it's what brings us together, and it's what we can't do at the moment.
So it was our job.
Well,
It was our job.
And will be again as soon as we're allowed to. So, for context, we should say we're recording this in October of 2020, and if you're in the future, I'm sure you will still remember COVID-19.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're in the not so distant future, and if you're locked down anywhere, I hope you're getting pleasure from this podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this came about really through, well, me personally, I've found that podcasts over the last 6 months or something have been a great way to pass the time, and a great way when you can't have that social contact with people that you're used to and the conversations that you're used to. It's a really nice way to just feel like you're engaged in something.
Yes.
And kind of scratch that itch of a little bit of social contact, and you can be a fly on the wall to a conversation and enjoy it without getting
Yeah, and
involved.
I mean,
It's kinda
to
cool.
be honest, even prior to COVID, I think drives home from gigs. You know, because the last thing I want to listen to is music after gigs. My
Yeah.
ears are like maybe ringing a little bit, and I'm just tired from 2 hours of gigging. And I think just listening to someone chat is kind of a nice way to just kind of bring me down to 0. And
Definitely. And any musician out there will know that, I don't know, 50-60% of the job is travelling, particularly, obviously, if you're in the live industry. So for us guys, we're used to, playing the shows in the evening, but the van talk and the banter and the conversations, I really miss it. Like, that's a massive part of it. If we go away for a week's touring, a lot of it is just spent in the van.
nice hot beverage.
A hot beveragino, as Chris says, and lots of waffle. Most of it related to guitars and music, but
some of it not recordable.
some of it definitely not fit for broadcast.
You probably nobody can see this, obviously, but well, not yet. I mean, we may put a camera up and video it at some point down the
think that'd
road.
be a good
But
idea,
I think that Lee and Chris have got a mute button for my microphone, just in case.
So yeah, we get together every now and again, as we have over the last couple of weeks, and we had a conversation, and we thought, you know what, this is cool. We get together, and maybe like-minded people, other musicians out there, guitar players, or just music fans in general. This isn't exclusively for guitar players. We're 3 guitarists, and that's where our opinions kind of come from, and how we look at music. We tend to look at it through 6 strings, but I think this is hopefully going to be something more universal. And we can just have a laugh, and until the day when we can get back out there and do what we like, and then I guess hopefully we could maybe take the podcast with us, which would be really cool.
Do you know,
we
that'd
should
be
record it in
amazing.
a van. Yeah, we should definitely do a van cast.
We could do that. Well, you showed us that little Rode mic you have connected to your iPhone. I mean, we can.
The video mic. I think it's called the video mic. Yeah, it just connects into your iPhone.
Amazing,
and
absolutely amazing. Yeah.
You can safely drive and talk, and you don't even know it's there.
Mm.
It's just.
We're looking for sponsors as well, by the way. So that's one for Road. So
Yeah,
a little tick
One
there.
for
See
Road,
how many
yeah.
brands we can get in. It's like Wayne's World. Don't you just hate it when
Yeah.
people do things for money? So anyway, so where were we? So Phil,
Actually, endorsement-wise, I think I'd like to start with my drive-in whiskey. I'm running out of drive-in whiskey. If anybody wants to endorse the show for that, no. Okay, moving on.
so yeah, you were saying about the story of Guitar Heroes and
Yep.
introducing yourself.
So yes, the story of Guitar Heroes has been a bit of a love-hate relationship for me for around 10 years now. I started working on the show, probably 10 years ago. Never had the balls to do it because it's financially a big commitment, and time-wise, it's a massive commitment to actually start a touring show from zero.
Yeah.
I've had experience in theatres before. I've done lots of, years and years of theatre work, but always for other people. Never actually run my own show, and obviously I don't do it on my own. I do it with my the love of my life,
Cookie.
Cookie. Yeah. No, dog. No. With Jamie, obviously, Jamie
Yeah.
Lovett, and most people who know the guitar show know Jamie because she's been on my YouTube channel and
Yeah.
in the program and everything. So yeah, everything's 50-50. We've got job roles. Jay takes care of all the business side of it and the lawyers and all that type of thing, and I'm the eye candy. I do everything regards putting the show on.
Yeah.
So everything to do with the music, finding the right people.
As well as actually starring in the show itself.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess we should maybe just explain a little bit about the show, because at first, obviously, we're intending to put this out to people who are maybe aware of the show, and we're very lucky to have a healthy following of people that we really miss getting to see at the moment. But we're going to put this out to those guys first. But obviously, our intention and our hope is that it might spread beyond those people, and maybe bring a few new people to the show. So, what would be your kind of description as owner and creator of the show? How would you describe the story of Guitar Heroes?
Story of Guitar Heroes is I'd call it a live rockumentary.
Okay.
We tour the theatres, and it's a place where you can come and learn about Guitar Heroes. It is a gig.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a live band. It's we have video screens up there as well, but we feature footage from the actual Guitar Heroes, and we're not a tribute show. I'd kind of want to say that. A tribute show to me is someone who stands up there and puts a fake moustache on, wears
The wig
a wig,
and everything, yeah.
which I'm not knocking that at all, because I've actually been part of tribute shows before, and I've put wigs on.
I've seen your wig collection.
Have you really? Excellent. Yeah. No, so I have done that. And I'm not ashamed of saying that I've done that either, because at the end of the day,
I mean, if it's a job that you're being paid to do, then that's it, isn't it? Really?
you can stand on your principles as much as you like, but I have a nice car, I have a nice house, and a lot of that has come from probably things I've not wanted to do.
But you'd still rather do those things than other things. It's all about priorities, isn't it?
Exactly.
And I think these days, I was having a conversation with a guy yesterday about, he was not a musician or not really necessarily a music fan, but kind of looking at it from the outside and saying, oh, is it not a bit of a futile kind of, you're never going to make it and all this sort of stuff? And I said, well, that just depends on what you classify as making it. These days, I think, although the industry in terms of the old days, the glory days of the big names and the big record companies, it's very different now. But I think there's more scope for people to make a genuine living as a working musician, which is what we would class ourselves as, by self-promotion and social media. And you know, it's no different to someone might go out to the office or go out to their particular job. They come home, they've got the house, they got, the family life, whatever it might be. People in our line of work, we go out to work with our guitars, and we go to the gig, and that's our office. Yeah.
Although it's not. I was talking to someone about this the other day, and doing this, it's not a job; it's a career.
It is.
It's not just, but they are tools at the end of the day. But you do go to work.
But it never feels, I don't know about you guys, but it never feels like work. I think
Oh, some of the gigs I've done, it really does.
Well, I remember that time we went to Scotland and the van broke down 2 hours from home, and then we had to come back home and then set off for Carlisle at 10 at night.
Yeah.
I wasn't even driving, and that felt like work.
That was work.
But,
Definitely work, yeah. We had Ozzy Osbourne driving the AA truck, remember?
I'm not sure if it was Ozzy or Sharon.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Somewhere-
Ozzy Osbourne, I think it was, yeah. Shoddy Osbourne.
Somewhere in between.
But going back to what you said about this being like potentially a futile career, I think it's important for every musician, regardless of where you are with that, whether that's just doing weddings, shows, or just doing pub gigs. I think setting goals, because you're never going to be able to define whether you're successful or not. I think as long as you're aiming for a goal that you've set, then once you've hit that, then you've got success. And I think, you need to set goals to measure your success. I think it's.
I think for me,
important.
this COVID experience and having a forced hiatus, whatever you want to call it. Let's face it, it's October now, and our last gig was what, March 16th,
14th.
14th.
Yeah.
Okay.
14th.
So I think in that time, we've probably all got a little bit introspective and taken the time to maybe appreciate what we had, because it's very easy in any walk of life to take things for granted, and you're always focusing on what you haven't got and what you're striving to achieve. Whereas actually, when you take a step back and actually think, well, hang on, what have I got? What have I already achieved? And when you look at what you've got, regardless of what you've got, however small or however great, I think that is a much more kind of positive way. And certainly me now that I can't gig, gigs that maybe in the past I might have gone, oh, okay, it's a job and it's a paycheck. Now I'm like, oh, God.
The excitement
God.
to gig again is amazing. And I think that alone for me a lot of the time is enough to drive me to gig. Just the excitement of getting back out performing and getting to play my guitars. They're just sat at home at the moment, and some of them in cases, and I'm just like,
And it's made me realise that being able to turn what you love into your job, I think that's the success. I think whatever you're into, if you're a musician, great. But if you're into anything, when you can turn that into your living, you're going to have bad days, and there's going to be days that it feels like work. But generally, it doesn't feel like work. And I think we've probably all been in the opposite situation where it feels like work and we're frustrated.
I was getting like that, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah?
Before
With the show?
Yeah.
Right.
Before lockdown, it was becoming really, really stressful for me and Jay. Was the show. I tried not to show it as much as I could, because that's the other thing about doing what we do. You have a second family. Your bandmates and your crew, all that, they become your second family, because when you're away from home, that's all you've got. You've got each other, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so obviously, I didn't want to be the guy that's stressed, and although you probably did see it quite a bit, but it was really stressful for me. We had a lot going on, which now hopefully is all being resolved and everything's looking really positive. But it was nice to have a lockdown.
Right.
For me personally,
A forced break,
because there's no way we would have done that. So I'm glad, and I didn't play my guitar for 3 months. Right. I literally didn't pick one up for 3 months.
Wow. And you have a few to choose from.
I've got a few to choose from. Yeah. I used to look at them. I never played them.
Yeah.
I used to enjoy looking at them. Oh no, I'd tell a lie. Actually, we did release a couple of lockdown videos.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, I played them for that, but I never practiced. I didn't. I was glad to not be there. And my that's sort of my studio where all my guitars are. They're a separate part of the house, so I don't have to go anywhere near guitars for weeks if I don't want to.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to, and I was glad. They were all locked away somewhere else, and then I sort of woke up one day and got the hunger for it again. So for me personally, I was glad I had that break.
Yeah. I think it's good. I think breaks in general are good. I think a lot of musicians will particularly resonate with that. We all have, maybe not as extended as this break has been, but
well, burnout is a real thing with gigs. I was facing it quite a lot with I was doing, as you know, a heavy amount of weddings, and it literally after about 5 years of that, I literally was burnt out. I just couldn't find it in me to keep wanting to do them, and I could feel my attitude changing at the gigs a little bit, which I was a little scared of. I had to have a little bit of time off, like yourself, Phil, and
that is normal. that's completely
It is
normal. though,
normal,
isn't it?
you know,
Yeah.
and
whatever normal is these days, but that is normal.
and to an extent, you know, I'm happy for the COVID thing, and I got to spend a bit more time with my wife and kid, and now I'm just so hungry to get out performing again.
I think there's been a change, hasn't there? At first, it was kind of panic and confusion, and just get your head down and do what's necessary, and then it kind of meandered into a bit of a summer break and some nice weather, particularly for us down here in the south. But now it feels like it's kind of shifted to this slightly more frustrating period where we understand why things have to be the way they are, but on the other hand, it's like that kind of, for me, that frustration of enough now. I really like to get back to what I miss, because that's another thing. And I think anyone who is in a line of work that is their passion and their thing, it's a completely different experience. I know people that enjoy their jobs, but they'd be quite happy to not go to the office for months, and but when they go back to work, because it's not their thing, it's not their kind of calling.
A lot of people have a hobby outside of that,
Exactly.
like photography or but for us, our job is our hobby and our passion, and
it kind of keeps me sane, like playing guitar and doing gigs and the energy, the ups and downs of all of that. When you take that away, I think there's probably a lot of musicians that are struggling with that without having that outlet.
Yeah, we've got obviously a rehearsal coming up for the show, and I've been so excited. It's
Yeah.
like literally last couple of weeks
Yeah.
or so. I've been working on the songs and everything, and playing a bit of bass, which I'm really excited about as well.
So, Chris, maybe you should introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you.
I'm Chris.
Brilliant. We're done. Moving on.
Okay, Cookie, your turn.
Yeah, it won't take long. So, guitarist by trade, as you know, and a new member to the show, which I'm thoroughly excited
New
about.
kid on the block.
New kid
on the block, yeah.
That's all right though, Chris. You still, you're still above Lee when it comes to rank. Oh, that's fine.
I get in the van first, right, before him.
We have a van hierarchy, and for some reason, regardless of whatever I do or however long I stick around, I always seem to be bottom of the pile. So,
well, it kind of goes, down the ladder and everything. It usually ends up you get to the sort of like the bottom of the van, the wheels, and then the dirt on the wheels, then Lee.
Well, start as we mean to go on, I guess.
As you can tell, people listening to this marvelous podcast, that we've got a great sense of humour and we all get on really well. So.
Yes,
which again helps in this business.
It does. So
Yeah.
welcome to the fold, Chris.
Yeah, I'm really excited, as I already said. And prior to this, did a lot of weddings, as I had already kind of mentioned. And kind of any sort of gigs that would come along, I would kind of jump at, really. I was always told never to turn down any gigs. Just if anyone offered a gig, you just say yes and, try and make yourself available for it.
Yeah.
The thing is, you never know who you're going to bump into. You never know what's going to come from it. But yeah, most of my work has been kind of wedding-based recordings and that kind of thing. Really, just been on the road, just gigging with that, and it's been fun, and it's helped me pay for a house, and support my wife and kid.
Yeah.
Which for me is was a goal I set out. If I could just make a living playing guitar, regardless of what that is, I think that's
That's
my
the
dream,
dream,
and
yeah.
I did everything I could to make that happen, and it's even despite COVID, it's still going to happen. Like, I'm not going to allow that to defeat
We're not
us.
retraining, are we?
I'm not.
Well, at the moment
retraining.
we're retraining as podcasters, but beyond that,
I didn't even go to the website to check what I would. A friend of mine who I performed on a ship with, a cruise ship. His name's Ash Denver. He may listen in. Absolutely lovely guy, great singer. He applied on the website, and I think they said.
oh, is this the government thing where
Yeah.
you fill in and it tells you maybe what you could look to retrain in or something?
Yeah, and
like
I
that?
think one of them was a boxer. I don't know.
Wow.
He hates sports. I tried to get him into the gym on the ship. He hated that. So
Yeah.
a boxer, definitely not. Or a football referee, and he hates football.
Wow, it's going great.
So absolutely. I mean,
What? Okay, then this is interesting.
Yeah.
What else would you do, Lee? If or what would you have wanted to do?
It's really hard to say, because I guess I can link into kind of my history and stuff. Like, I've only ever known, I've done other jobs, but
Yeah.
really I've been on the stage since I was in theatre and performance, and actually that first, like acting and stuff like that,
So you always had that in your mind?
Yeah, like that was obviously as a kid, like at the age of 10 or whatever, you're not making career choices. Your parents see something in you, or you get driven towards a certain thing, and you just kind of run with it. And I guess that's what's happened with me. I just ran with it, whether it be live performance in any capacity, that then pretty quickly got into maybe some would say unhealthy obsession with guitar playing, as most of us do. I got my first guitar. It was a £6 nylon strung classical from a car boot sale, and I think it had 4 strings, and I sat in my conservatory for weeks on end at age of 11 just trying to...
Thinking, I don't want to be a bass player.
Or a drummer.
Why don't you play that well on the show?
But you said
All
about
the
an
gin.
unhealthy obsession with a guitar.
Yeah.
I don't think it exists.
Well, no, I
Do you
don't.
know?
I think most of us, anybody in any walk of life, particularly passion-driven careers, I think if you're successful to any level at it, then you're probably a little bit obsessed with that particular thing.
I think you have to be obsessed
You do.
to make it to work. And I think like yourself, like as soon as I picked up the guitar, I knew this is what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I had my parents encouraged me to try other things as well, but my dad's a musician as well, and him and my mum obviously support me massively. I said, this is what I'm going to do, and there's no two ways about it. It's going to happen. And
I was very fortunate. I grew up in a small town where
small town boy.
Just a small town. Got my first real 6-string. So many of those songs are actually true, I think.
They resonate with you.
They really do. They really do. But only looking back on it now, I kind of realise that I was fortunate to have all of my friends be musicians. So if I look back now at my childhood friends and my school friends, that hardcore group of maybe 5 to 10 of us, and every single one of them is a musician. Even today, to some degree. Some of them aren't musicians in their career, but they've still got that guitar at home, or they've still got the drum kit in the loft. So at the time, I thought that was normal. And it's only as I got older and started to move outside of that circle, and I guess that comfort zone, that I met other people that really struggled with that. They had no one. So when I left school, I got a job at a music shop, which is partly how I met you guys. And
you cost me a fortune.
Me too, man.
And you made me a fortune.
Lee's got a lot to answer for.
You must have done all right on the commission side of things.
Well, Phil helped a lot. Let's put it that way.
You see Phil walk through the door, he's like, "Oh, here we go.
What crap can I sell him today?"
We had a list of favourite customers for certain reasons, and Phil was always on that. But anyway, yeah, I met people at the store, particularly, and one of the questions I used to get all the time was, where do I go to meet musicians? How do I meet people? And particularly with young kids, they were like, I want to get in a band. And I honestly just, like, at that point, I didn't know, and I had to be really honest and say, I was just very lucky, and I realise that now, that to grow up with friends that are all musicians, and on your day off, it's like, right, we're all meeting at your house, we're all bringing our guitars, and we're going to just, like, play together. Like, I guess other kids were doing other things. So, to answer your question, Phil, I really don't know what I would do.
So I do know, but I didn't know what I wanted to do until, certainly not when I was at school. It was music. That's all I wanted to do at school. It wasn't until later on in life that I realised that I'd always probably wanted to be a doctor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And this is really...
A doctor of what?
Nonsense.
Well, you're qualified.
Excellent.
PhD.
Yeah. I don't know what type. But anybody that knows me knows that I'm like massively into animals and vegetarian and all that. And so, well, wouldn't a vet have been more suited for you? And well, A, I'm not clever enough to be a vet, and B, I get upset when animals die. And they go, oh, so you don't like humans then? I'm like, just don't seem to get as upset.
Was there a point in your life where an opportunity like that was available to go for, or?
I was too old probably to start relearning, and I mean Rishi obviously maybe I could maybe retrain as something. I don't know.
Dr. Walker.
Probably a bit too long in the tooth. There's a lot of training and I've involved. So I know my luck could end up being an arse doctor or something. So. You're listening to the Guitar Heroes podcast.
It is hard. There's no set path in this industry, but I think that's true for a lot of industries.
Absolutely.
If I look back now, things seem to have some sort of connection or some sort of pathway, but at the time, you have no idea what path you're on. You just have to, like you were saying, never say no to an opportunity and be kind of open and ready to accept those opportunities as they come. Be prepared from whatever stance
Actually,
you can.
that's one of the biggest things, is actually being prepared, turning up prepared. You know, yeah, for all rehearsals and stuff, I'm always like over rehearsed and stuff for things, as you're probably going to see. And you'll be like,
oh no.
Oh, one of those.
I did mention in the last video about raising this bar. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's pretty welded stiff there, though, Chris. Good luck with that, man.
Someone once told me, I can't remember who it was, but it stuck with me for years and years, and it was that in music, there's no such thing as a bad experience, really. And I think that, for some reason, that always stuck in my mind, and it always comes out on those days where you're having a bad day. And I think that is relevant to any kind of career
Exactly.
or any
It doesn't
pursuit.
matter what you're doing, does it?
No.
If you woke up out of bed on the wrong side, I mean, it doesn't matter what you're doing. The way someone's going to talk to you is probably going to rub you up the wrong way. Or
I mean in a specific sense of, like, there's no such thing as a bad gig.
because performance-wise,
because even the bad gigs are there for a reason. So how many bad gigs have we been on where something has gone terribly wrong, or the weather's awful, or the van breaks down, or you break a string, and you kind of come out of it and go, well, any experience is a good experience. And particularly when I was younger, I used to think like that.
Mm.
You have to learn, and you always look back. I remember, was it you told me about the lights falling over at the Weymouth Pavilion gig? Was it?
Episode 1, and you've brought that up already.
But you can look back at it now.
Happen. Yeah.
You can look back at it now, a little light-heartedly, and think, actually, that was kind of funny. But I'm not sure how Phil still feels about
I'm
it.
still £1,000 down from all the damage. So I mean, I can't look back and think that. No,
can't believe episode 1 we've brought that up. We were getting deep then, and now you've brought it back to that.
Hey, we were.
For those who don't know,
Chris has just lowered the bar massively.
I may have had a small accident on stage last year.
And it was funny
This
because
year?
prior to that gig, I'd gone home, hadn't I? I'd finished my stint with you guys.
You had.
Had I been there,
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have happened.
So
there would have been a lot of laughter coming from the wings.
luckily, it happened right at the end of the night. So, yeah, as we were walking off stage at the end of the night, I might have accidentally tripped over a certain lighting stand that brought a certain expensive heavy light and a few guitars crashing down onto the stage.
This would actually be a good thing to talk about in a later episode.
Oh, really go into
disaster
it. Really
gigs.
make me feel
We can
bad.
Really, yeah. Well, just that, yeah. No.
I can speak, a few
Anybody's, I've had, I won't go into it too much, but I've had massively embarrassing moments on stage. One, particularly in Germany, with the TV cameras there, and I ended up falling over a drum riser. My arse went in the air. My amp fell off the back of a flight case, and all on TV somewhere.
Oh my!
Someone's
we need
got-
to try.
We're
and
gonna
get
have
that.
to find that.
We need to get
Yeah.
our hands on that footage. It can't be any worse. I mean, you see the edge when he walked off the edge. Oh my God! I mean, Dave Grohl's had a few falls, but you kind of forgive him because he can pull it off and carried on, did the gig with a broken leg or whatever. But that footage of the edge,
The
where
edge
he's at
falling
that
off the edge.
huge arena with the big, the podium that walks out, and he just steps blindly into nothing and just disappears into the blackness.
So that, boys and girls, is why you should not take vintage guitars out on the road.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll tell you what, they try and perform on a ship as well. Falling off stages is like,
Oh God.
yeah, you think like we're on the it was a Norwegian ship, and we're in Scandinavia, and the waters were so rough, it was freezing cold, but obviously you could feel the boat hitting the waves. We're right at the end of the boat, the performance area, and you're going to press a pedal to change to like a drive sound for like a rock song or something,
Yeah.
and then as that foot's raised, the boat's hit a wave, and you just go flying.
Wow, I've never had
Don't
that.
fall into the sick bucket.
No,
We've had a few
Yeah.
raked stages, haven't we? So these old theatres that have them.
It's gonna say
Southend, isn't it?
Southend,
Or
is it?
somewhere.
That's quite a bad
One of them
yeah.
had a really steep rake.
I know one that you're thinking of. Yeah, I think it was somewhere. It might have even been Buxton Opera House.
I remember the guy
Maybe.
he actually said the angle of it. He said, this is and he had a piece of wood that he put at the front of the stage and said,
No,
this is
it
how
was
high,
Southend.
how
that was
different it is.
Southend.
run into the front of the stage to jump up on the podium things that we use.
So
Nearly gone off the edge.
So
so
rubber
many times.
boots then, just so like.
Yes. I want a pair of those suckers like Wallace and Gromit, where he's the wrong trouser. So story of Guitar Heroes. That's what's kind of brings us all together. I joined the show. What was it?
2 years ago.
2 years ago now. Yeah, having known Phil for a number of years beforehand at the guitar shop, and just chatting over guitars, and I actually saw the show. I think it was its first year or
Tiddley
second?
in Wimborne, wasn't it? Yeah, it's been the first year, I think.
First year, you gave us some free tickets at the shop. And
did I? That's not like me.
Well, you gave us a few promotional tickets just for,
okay.
I think, us in the guitar department at the shop, and we came down and had a watch. And yeah, it was amazing. It stuck in my mind from that day. I was like, wow, that guy's living the dream, because he's made a living out of a. What was it that you said you watched that the BBC show?
The Guitar Heroes at the BBC. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I watched that, and I say this when I do radio interviews and stuff. It's the same spiel all over the place, but I came in from a gig late one night, and I put that on, sat with my cup of tea, and just thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if you could see all these guitar heroes in one gig, and obviously Hendrix is no longer with us, Stevie Ray, so that had never happened. So I was thinking how I could actually put a show on. But again, without being the lucky likey. I don't want to go down that route, but getting the sound and the ambience of these heroes.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever be able to do it. It will never be a tribute, simply because we get through, what is it, like 30 different heroes in one show.
That'd be a lot of wigs.
Yeah.
It certainly would. The costume changes just wouldn't be feasible. I mean, sometimes it's tight anyway, changing between songs.
I mean, you'd probably need about 6, frontline players in the show to do any justice. But I think you're going to go down the cheesy aspect if you try to do it like that. And again, I'm not knocking tributes. I've done it myself for years, with other people. But I think, I don't know, I'm going to get probably corrected on this, but I think guitar playing is cool. Really, really cool. And it's a real, it's cool to be a guitar player. And I think if you were to kind of go down the route of, I'm Stevie Ray Vaughan, and now I'm Hank Marvin, and here's my glasses and my wig, and I don't think it. It can be up there that you trying to get the correct sound and trying to play like him, and thinking, damn, Albert Lee's good.
Oh, definitely. I think
how fast is this?
Yeah.
Delving into this music that we get to play every night is really makes your appreciation for these guitar heroes go even further. And so that's kind of what we're up there doing. We're trying to get the sound from a guitar point of view and from a band point of view as close as we can, and capture the vibe of that artist or whatever, whilst not ripping it off and not trying to convince anyone in the audience that we're actually them with a wig and a mask and stuff like that. So dream gig really for us guys.
It was it was a dream. Yes, it is a dream gig. And I think it will be again. It will be again. The whole COVID thing, I think, like says, made us all a bit more hungry for it, and
absolutely,
it's even more of a, like you were saying, Chris, you're excited to rehearse. So the first gig's back is just going to be like,
well, just
more
even
than
the first rehearsal we did, like obviously Al, he was literally playing like he was at a show. It was amazing.
We should we not acknowledge Al at this point?
Not really.
No.
Anyway,
moving on.
No, we should.
We don't want to bring the tone down.
As Phil states in the show, it's a guitar show, Al.
It's a guitar show. Yeah. No, because obviously there's just the three of us here at the moment, but we are going to get Al. Al is our drummer. But Al's not going to be with us for the first couple of gigs in January, because he's having a baby, isn't he?
He's pregnant.
He's pregnant.
He's pregnant.
Yeah, he's pregnant. No, his wife Chloe's pregnant, so it won't. With anybody listening to this who's going to come see the show, it won't be Al on stage for the first few gigs in January.
No.
If anybody's going, that's not Al. That's why. But yeah, Al is our drummer, and he's got a wicked sense of humour. He really is a great guy.
He's
to
one
be
of the
around.
funniest guys I've ever met. Honestly, he naturally has really good charisma and performs well, doesn't he? I think
he does. He does, but he's a great player as well. And he's as passionate and as mad about drums as we are about guitars. He's always
he's our counterpart, isn't he, in the drum world?
He's definitely. And
unfortunately for him, he's got no one to talk to about drums?
Well, I talked to him a bit. Cause,
a little bit.
I'm really enthusitic about drums.
No,
Actually, I love drums.
Shut up, Chris. Anyway, so it was
Oh, we're there. I'm sorry. Let's just wind that back.
yeah. No, I used to be a drummer.
You did?
I mean, I started playing drums when I was.
You did a dep gig from.
I did. Yeah. I started when I was about 13, 12, 13, playing
Right.
drums.
So were you playing guitar first or drums first?
Guitar. I started guitar at 6.
Right. Okay.
Wow. And then drums I just picked up when I was at school doing like the GCSE music. Wanted to play another instrument, and I just picked up the drums. Never had any lessons or anything. But yeah, then ended up playing drums in a theatre show for years. And yeah, it was weird. But I guess being diverse as well is why I've made it to 45 and never had a real job.
Definitely.
You know,
There's
Just
an argument for
another
that.
string to your bow, isn't it? I think.
yeah.
But yeah, I remember actually. I've only played with you once whilst you were on drums. It was a military gig, I think.
It was awful.
It was amazing.
There's no such thing as a bad gig.
No
yeah,
such
good
thing as a
point.
bad gig. What drum kit was you using? I think was it a
Gretsch.
Gretsch?
Yeah. I sold that kit. I bought a Sona kit, and I regretted it. I wish I just had
That
this.
Gretsch was lovely. I remember just
Oh,
taking a
yeah.
moment,
Good
just looking
kits.
at it. I was like, oh, Gretsch.
Yeah. I wish I never got rid of it, but I
Yeah.
don't have a drum kit at all now, to be honest.
Good for you.
'Cause since the
Good for
guitar-
you.
Good for you.
And your neighbours. So yeah, we will bring Al
bring
in,
Al in, yeah.
and other people. You know, interviews with the crew and people
Mhm.
around the show, and maybe get the good lady Jamie involved as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so our plans moving forward are going to be more of this, more kind of coffee and discussions, and
Mhm.
it's all going to be loosely based around a guitar player's point of view, but. We've got a few little things in mind. Obviously, the show is all about guitar heroes, so we're maybe going to bring some of that into the podcast and do a hero of the day type thing. We're not necessarily going to come on to that today, but I think we should just acknowledge the passing of the good Lord Eddie Van Halen, because it is October 2020, and as the guitar community is in mourning at the moment.
Oops.
Don't.
I've never heard of her.
I think, I mean, I have been amazed, not that I didn't think he would get the praise that he deserves, but I have to say I've been amazed at the response from the guitar community. I've never seen anything like it.
And do you know what? I've been listening to Van Halen quite a lot since.
Me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've totally revisited. I've basically worked through the back catalogue because I've neglected it, and I've just reminded myself why he is who he is, and why the band in particular those first 3 or 4 albums, the stuff with Roth is just.
So, do you prefer Van Halen with Hagar or David? I mean, David Lee Roth is a bit more kind of theatrical, isn't he?
In my mind, I didn't grow. I'm not old enough to have grown up with that era, but there's only one Van Halen in my mind, personally.
Roth.
From the sound, I just think I like the Hagar stuff, and I like that era for a different reason. I think he's a fantastic singer, and they've got some cracking tunes in that era. But there's something about
it's the sound, isn't it, and just the attitude and everything.
Yeah.
I think particularly musicians, guitar players, connect with it because the story is so familiar. You know, those guys were a party band. They were a bar band. They played covers in and around the LA scene.
Yeah.
And they were that band that probably we've all played in. Weddings where you're essentially a jukebox. Hey, do us a bit of this, do that. Requests thrown at you. Admittedly, they had, far more wet T-shirt contests involved in their gigs. But I love that evolution from working band, and that's where they cut their teeth, and that's why they went in. That's where the sound came from. I was listening to this fantastic podcast that David Lee Roth did with Joe Rogan. If you've not heard it, there's 2 that he did, and they are brilliant because he's just such a character to listen to. But he was saying that, particularly the early Van Halen sound, it came from needing to work, and we needed to play clubs, and you couldn't bust out rock and metal tunes in clubs because people couldn't dance.
Yeah.
So we brought this whole boogie-woogie kind of black music influence into it. He said that most of our songs were around 120 BPM because we wanted the girls to dance. So it brought a sort of R&B feel into it, a boogie-woogie thing. But we played that through Eddie and Alex's background of distortion and big drums.
Yeah.
And I think you can really hear that, the rawness, Eddie's tracks are single track guitar.
Yeah.
The drums are raw. Roth's vocals are just like in the moment. Put it to tape, done, move on. It's just.
Speaking of drums again, I've got the best of on my phone at the minute. I've been going around with my earpods in, listening, and Alex Van Halen, what a drum sound!
Oh my god,
that's one of my favourite snare sounds ever.
Oh my god,
it's just such a
and those toms,
flappy, great. Oh,
the just the other thing I realise as well, and I think we're all aware of it, but it's when you really listen back, you think, what wouldn't we have today without particularly that first album? 1978, Van Halen 1, and just listen to it.
It literally paved the way for all modern guitar, didn't it?
It lays the foundations, and then particularly some of the later tracks, like there's elements of, obviously there's the whole shred movement, but there's elements of like metal and like that whole demographic with the double kick drums and the sort of like heavily compressed toms. And
well, I don't think we should get into Van Halen right now, because I think, all joking aside, he
deserves a whole podcast.
Deserves a whole podcast. Yes. So let's do that. And also, I don't know if the guys know this yet. You don't know this yet, Lee, but you ready?
What?
There is going to be Eddie Van Halen in the show next year.
Is there?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, the Eddie Van Halen guitar hopefully will be bringing its way to us next week.
Yeah. You've bought a striper or something?
Oh, you have to wait and see.
Oh, okay.
What have you? Okay, we'll do a video on it.
We can do a video on it. We'll
we'll definitely make Eddie hero of the day in one of the later podcasts.
Coming up soon, eh?
Yeah, we'll delve into it. So
that'd be amazing,
that's going to be essentially it. We'll be moving forward with all those kind of ideas, and no doubt new features will add themselves to the format as we move along. But one thing that we really wanted to make a part of this is getting some interaction with you guys. Obviously, we are massively appreciative of the following that we have for the show, and we really hope to interact with you guys more and grow that audience. Part of what we'd like to do is get some Q&As going on this. So send us messages, send us questions. They can be about anything guitar related. They can be personal questions for any of us. They can be tech and tone related, gear related. We should just say as well that, as you might hear, we're sat in a room with our guitars. So we're ready to noodle at a moment's notice. But we can talk industry, we can talk tech tips, guitar stuff, we can talk about music in general. And if you listen through to the end of the podcast, I will do some plugs at the end with where you can find us online. So what have we got planned? How's it looking for next year in terms of work and stuff? I mean, COVID pending.
Yeah, we were going to be going back in January. We're hoping to start on the 7th of January. We were going to have a busy January, February and March, but as things are looking, a lot of dates in January have now moved.
Right.
We've got the 9th at Weymouth Pavilion, the 9th of January.
Okay, cool.
All being
Hometown?
well, this is hometown, yeah. And then the 10th, we're at the Guildhall in Portsmouth, 10th of January. So this is all, COVID providing.
COVID pending, yes.
Hopefully this is going ahead. The dates are pretty much, I think they're on, well, they should be on sale as this podcast goes out.
Okay, great.
I know for definite that the Portsmouth show is on sale, and if you go to the storyofguitarheroes.com and go into the tour page, there's a link through so you can go buy tickets.
Brilliant.
And the same will be for the Weymouth one as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, by the time you're listening to this, it'll be out and on sale. February, we were going to be busy again. Scotland, we were going to be up there for 2 weeks. That has now moved to 2022. And it's probably going to be stretched over 2 runs up there, because we would, like I say, we were up there for 2 weeks in one hit. So it looks like we're going to be up there for a week in February and then a week in March 2022. I'm hoping after March, March, April time next year, we'll be back to normal and we'll be business as usual.
Fingers crossed.
We've got a lot of good things on the horizon.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll talk about that in another episode. Maybe we'll get Jamie on the show and we'll maybe talk about a bit of the legal things that have been going on. But all that's behind us now, and we're now looking forward to a really long, successful show.
Yeah. Just can't wait to get out there. Thank you for all the messages and things that we've received over the lockdown
Absolutely.
process. It's been nice to stay in touch, and we have made some lockdown videos and things like that, which again I'll give you the links in a minute and you can check that out on social media. So it's been nice to stay in touch, and I guess we should just say that hope everyone's doing well out there, and hope you've kind of braved the storm as best as possible. I'm sure everyone's struggling at the moment, but particularly music fans and musicians in general, this has really hit the arts and our industry very, very hard. And whether you're a player or you're just an avid fan or an avid kind of absorber of music, I think collectively we all can't wait to get back together and have a laugh.
It's going to be real fun.
And put Chris through his paces and bring him out on the road with us, which will be cool.
Well, actually, I shared obviously the early part this year with you guys, which actually feels like forever ago, doesn't it? It doesn't actually feel like this year.
Yeah, that's
true.
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, I just came out. Obviously, I had a quiet period of the year, and obviously I was asked by Phil to come and join you guys on the road, just help out as much as I can. And
you did. It was an absolute pleasure because Chris was teching on my side of the stage, which was great. Cause
yeah, do you have my straps, by the way?
It's tough times, Chris, and some stuff had to make its way on eBay over lockdown. So
yeah, we know where you can get them back.
Yes.
No, but in seriousness, it was it was a load of fun, and but this time, obviously in the wings, I was watching you guys play. It was
you were itching.
Yeah, like I was okay because obviously it was I'm there to help out, and yeah, a big part of me was like, I just want to grab a guitar and come and just play with you guys, and
yeah,
I get to do that now, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, we can't wait. It's going to be cool. It's going to be a whole new show. That I'm sure the dynamic with Chris and just probably the newfound energy that we'll all have. I'm sure those first few gigs will be quite exciting for everyone involved. Which will be cool. So yes, to find us online, I've got a list here so that I could remember all of this. Conveniently, we've managed to get all of our Instagrams to be pretty much synced up here. It looks like we planned this, but we really didn't. To find us on Instagram, individually, you can search for Phil Walker Guitar, Chris Anthony Guitar, that's Anthony with an H, or Lee Troy Guitar. So that's Phil Walker Guitar, Chris Anthony Guitar, Lee Troy Guitar. That's on Instagram. You can also search for Story of Guitar Heroes on Instagram, where you find us. If you prefer to find us on Facebook, you can go to Phil Walker Guitarist, Lee Williams Guitarist, or it's Chris Anthony Taylor.
Chris Anthony Guitar.
Chris Anthony Guitar, sorry.
Yeah, try to keep it quite similar for all
yeah,
platforms. But
yeah, we great minds think alike. And, of course, the show's on Facebook as well, so you can search for The Story of Guitar Heroes. And the website is storyofguitarheroes.com.
Yes, storyofguitarheroes.com. And if you want to go on my other Instagram to do with latex and hosepipes... is that another episode?
It's all right, we're not live, so we can edit stuff out.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. So, yeah, feel free to send us any messages. Please rate, review, and subscribe. You hopefully listening to this on maybe Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We need all the support we can get. We are newbies to this game, but we enjoy it. I think we had a good time today.
Yep. Yeah, this has been great. And actually, I've got to say, Lee, you feel like you come across like a right natural with this.
Well, maybe I should have gone into radio or something like that.
Yeah.
Face for radio.
Face for radio, yeah.
So, yeah, please send us any messages, questions. That Q&A section, we really want to get into that.
That would hopefully fuel the episodes we've got,
Absolutely. We can talk nonsense all day long. Don't worry, there's no shortage of that. But
absolutely,
we'd like to share some of that nonsense with you, so please do get in touch. Should we just quickly mention what we've got here today? Because we've waffled on about other stuff, and there's probably guitar players that are sat at home listening.
Played like twice.
I know.
Yeah.
And they're probably thinking, what have you got in there?
Well, it's an introduction, isn't it? So, okay. Well, I've got my old Strat, my old 70s reissue Strat.
Number one.
My number one.
Number one. If you've seen the show, you would have seen this guitar. You use that on Hendrix?
I use it on Hendrix. I use it on Deep Purple as well. So that's what I've got around my neck today that I haven't used much.
What year is it, did you say?
It's a 1986. It's the council workers' broom. Is this? I've replaced so much on it, literally because I've just played out, dropped off. I've played it so much. It's got original neck, original body, original scratch plate, original pickups, original knobs, not pots, but the covers.
Okay.
Knobs.
Yeah.
Knob
The
volume
knobs.
tone,
Those dirty knobs are.
and jack
original.
socket. I've replaced the saddles 3 times.
Trem block.
Is it what? Sorry,
Trem block's been replaced.
Trem
hasn't it?
block probably about 5 times, at least. At least.
I've had this guitar for 20 years. I've had 5 different necks.
Yeah, it's exactly that. isn't it?
Yeah. But actually, I've got there's a little trick that I do now with the trem to stop you stripping the thread
Okay.
in the trem, because it's not very good. I mean, I think the technical term for this type of metal, the metal workers call it, is monkey shit. That's what they actually call it. So yeah, they just strips the thread out. So I put PTFE tape that you can get from B&Q or a plumber's. I wrap it round the trem arm, and then screw it in, and it goes nice and tight, and you don't have to over tighten it then.
Oh, I need to do that on mine. Look.
Yeah, you've definitely got a wobble on there, haven't you? That's not good. Yeah, so there's that. What else have I done to it? So it's been rewired once. I've put a little switch in it which turns it into a Telecaster, so it just basically brings on either all 3 pickups at once, or I can have the bridge and neck.
Yeah.
I've replaced the tuners 4 times now. No, 3 times. They had the original Japanese tuners on it, and then I put Spursel lock in. Never got on with those. Then I put some Fender ones on. And every time I put it on a Hercules stand, it unlocked the E string. So now I've just got some original 70s tuners on it, and I love those.
Wow.
New nut. Now got a Graph Tech nut in there.
Yeah.
That's my 3rd nut.
Sponsorship, GraphTech.
Graph Tech, yeah. And I think that's it. And it's been refretted once.
Once?
In 35 years, it's been refretted once.
But you are a particularly light player, aren't you?
Not very heavy.
We were
and
just
then you plug the strings with paper as well, don't you?
We're going to do a whole episode on Phil's plectrums, because we were having a little conversation off air, weren't
just
we?
on picks in general.
And Phil, we'll come on to that, but it's a bit of an in-house joke.
I do tend to play with paper picks, which is a bit bizarre, but it works for me.
Yeah, well,
refretted once, and this was refretted over 10 years ago now, and oh my word, there's probably another 20 years left on these frets.
Wow.
So,
we're the Strat Club today, aren't we? We
Strats,
we didn't necessarily plan this, but again,
we should do a podcast on our Strats at some point.
I think so. I think we'll kind of do that moving forward. We'll have a loose topic for every podcast, so it'll be like, this week we're going to talk about Strats, or we could be specific and we could just focus on 60s Strats or 70s Strats or whatever. And but Chris has sat there with a Strat as well, so.
Yeah,
and yours really is the council workers' broom, isn't it? 3 necks and
really, yeah. Well, actually, this this guitar started off as Toby's.
Of course, yeah.
I literally bought his Highway 1 Strat off him.
Just backpedaling a bit, those of you that don't know, Toby, actually Chris has replaced Toby in the show. The COVID fiasco has had dramatic effect on some people's lives, and we've lost a few people in the crew as well.
Not too COVID, but
not too COVID. Yeah, no. Yeah. Sorry, thanks, Lee. As in career-wise, So they've had to go retrain and what have you. But Toby is an excellent guitar teacher, is Toby, and he's gone more full time into that. So couldn't be with us on the show anymore, unfortunately. But
I was gutted actually. I was really looking forward to playing
but not
with
that
him.
gutted, Chris, when you got the
job.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was Toby's guitar.
Yeah, it was Toby's guitar. Yeah, he
took his guitar. You took his job.
I didn't know that.
Next, a blinding price on this actually. It was, I think I literally gave him free. It's quite a long time ago now. I think it was about 350, 400 I gave him for it. Obviously, those who don't know what a Highway 1 model is, it's an American-made model. Those are I presume, would regard as an entry model. Obviously, they cut back on a few...
An affordable USA Strat.
Yeah, pretty much. A bit like the American Performer Series now. They're kind of just a little bit cheaper than, obviously, your... they got the Professional 2s out now and stuff.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But don't get me started.
I'm not
gonna... Don't get me started.
Professional 2.
But the Highway 1 started off as an entry model anyway. But a lovely guitar. It's got obviously tons of genuine wear on the body. But I'd used it so much that the frets, the whole neck needed refretting. So a refret was about 250, 300 pounds. So I thought I always wanted to get a 60s Strat. So I thought I'd take this opportunity rather than buy like a replacement, Mexican neck or something. I'd get myself. I actually got an American original 60s neck, a 65 model one, so upon that purchase, I then started splashing out on pickups, authentic. These are House of Tone pickups. but they're based up in Manchester.
Midlands somewhere, aren't they?
Up in the Midlands, yeah. I think near Manchester. I
Okay.
think Cheshire, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are 68 specials, very Hendrix sounding, all with vintage cloth wiring, like you know,
Vintage cloth. Ooh.
ooh, yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. The pots as well.
got
There'll be
an
people
old
at
tea
home.
towel, is that vintage
There's
cloth?
bound to be people listening to this going, "What? Vintage cloth?"
Vintage cloth.
Those who know.
It's
No.
not vintage cloth. I've got underpants older than those pickets, Chris.
That's dirty cloth.
That's
dirty
it
cloth,
really is,
yeah.
yeah.
They should have been thrown out a long time ago. But yeah, the pots as well. I think these are just American CTS pots. I basically just splashed out on the best I could afford, basically on everything. And maybe a video on this would be kind of cool. But I've got a volume and a tone knob, and the second tone knob is actually a blend, so I can blend the 3 pickups in whichever way I want, depending on the sound I'm after. And Callahan hardware as well.
Oh, that's expensive stuff, isn't it?
Callahan hardware.
That's
Callahan
supposed
hardware.
to be like the Rolls Royce of hardware.
And to be honest,
Replacements,
it works. The guitar doesn't go out of tune.
I should hope not.
Well, I'm
for what
glad
it's
it
only paid
works.
for
Chris,
us.
after all
Well,
that.
exactly.
Well, it works.
Well, it
you know.
works. I get to a gig and no sounds coming out.
I think the difference. I mean, mine really works tuning wise because of the Graphtec. I mean, they don't look like Graphtec saddles. They're normally like the black
they're
ones.
black
but,
ones. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
but these are the polished chrome type.
Yeah.
And they've got the Graphtec bit's just a tiny little bit under the strings. You can hardly even tell.
It's great.
But I mean, tuning stability on this is unreal. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and actually, I had Robin at Absolute Music.
Absolute.
He's an absolute legend,
mine.
that guy.
He's amazing, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's
he's
worked on
I
mine.
literally take a guitar in, he knows how I want it, and it comes back literally.
Shout out to Robin at Absolute Music and Joe.
And Joe.
And Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
I saw
So
Joe the other day.
anyone in the Dorset area,
Yeah.
head over to Absolute Music in Bournemouth for your guitar needs.
Or
Certainly-
actually don't at the moment because they're weeks and weeks backlogged.
Are they?
yeah, they're really busy over there, which is good.
Yes.
Which is good.
Joe
I'm
and
glad they're
Robin,
busy.
great techs at Absolute
Yeah.
Music if you need any
Yeah.
work doing.
Really good.
Anyway, Lee, quickly tell us about your Squire.
I've got a white one.
Mine's white.
Just a white one.
It's
Now
just
I've got a what is it? Yeah, it's a bit of a mishmash as well. This is actually a Mexican road worn. It's a 2014 road worn Strat, 60s Strat. We'll do a whole episode on relics and stuff like that because that's a topic I can get well into.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a bit of a mixed up guitar because I've got a custom shop Strat that I took some parts off and put onto this. Actually, the guitar that we use for the Stevie Ray Vaughan section in the show, we swapped out some parts on it, like the pick guard and the knobs and whatnot, and pickups just for that Stevie section. And then those bits that I wasn't using on that guitar, I kind of upgraded on this guitar. So this is a Mexican Strat, but it has custom shop wiring loom, custom shop pickups, custom shop. I actually took the whole bridge and trem block, everything out. So other than the wood, the body and the neck, everything on this guitar is taken
it's all
from.
kind of the same, to be honest.
Yeah.
To a point. I mean, obviously, on the Mexicans, I don't know if they're using more than like 2 pieces, or is the custom shop just 1 piece? Is it?
No, the custom shop stuff is normally 2 pieces.
Yeah.
The Mexican stuff can be more, but there's a big difference in the trem block. I have to say, the trem block they use, I forget. It's like a proper American steel block in the custom shop one.
Right. Yeah.
And when I had that going spare, like the weight difference of it and the kind of the action on the tremolo itself, so it felt different to the Mexican
I think
one.
that's the same with the Callahan. I think it's all it's the proper steel block in it.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
So it's all good stuff.
There's a whole nother episode there on
Yeah.
Fender guitars and why they're so great. For
Should we not
upgrades
say
and
any
stuff.
more then? Let's
We'll just save it.
now.
How long have we been rolling for? Is
I
anyone
really
still
need-
listening to
I
this?
really need a wee. Really bad.
And
Okay.
as you sat in my front room, Chris, I think we should end and you should go to the loo.
Let's do it. So let's say episode 1 of the Guitar Heroes podcast. Thank you very much for listening. I'll quickly read out those links once again. If you want to find us on Instagram, Phil Walker Guitar, Chris Anthony Guitar, Lee Troy Guitar, and of course the show Story of Guitar Heroes. Facebook, it's Phil Walker Guitarist, Chris Anthony Guitarist, and Lee Williams Guitarist. And the website for the show is storyofguitarheroes.com.
Yes.
Find us there. Until next time,
See you soon.
thanks for listening.
Keep playing.